20,000 square meter construction. So every such building has to go into Ministry of Environment clearance for its environment impact assessment. And when they assess the buildings, it is assessed by all doctorates and other people. And they tell you that whatever generation you are doing in terms of waste, in terms of water, that is what impact it is going to have on the environment. So it is a good thing which is coming up. And like Mr. Pandey said, Yatnish said, in Mumbai, many buildings are coming up which are known as green buildings now. It is only because of this environment impact assessment of those buildings, they are now sustainable and more environment friendly.
Any questions? Yes, Mukul has something there. Microphone.
To the panel, actually. Two materials. One is concrete and second, paints. Are these two materials paints?
Concrete was?
And paint.
And paints, okay.
Because we have Nerolac here. That question could be to them also. Paints, we use a lot of polymers. Is polymer a sustainable material? And in concrete, we use a lot of natural materials mixed with cement. So we're depleting natural materials and making concrete which is probably non-sustainable. So can somebody just tell me about these two materials?
These two materials are the biggest polluters. Cement, concrete and paints.
Paint have reduced substantially with having come with water-based paints and the solvents having gone. So the advertisement that was running was VOC, and they're talking about, I believe, but IGBC standards are 80 milligrams per liter, and you're talking about 50 milligrams. IGBC is 80 milligrams, so we're still tolerant. So paint is reducing its carbon footprint day by day by having water-based paints, but they're still hazardous. I believe zero VOC is not possible.
Zero VOC is not possible, but anything less than 5 is treated as a almost zero.
I know, yeah, because saying almost zero and then we are talking about milligrams.
You were saying something further, Harry? No, were you continuing with something?
No, I was just saying the biggest bane of our country or our region has been introduction of concrete as a building material. Concrete as a building material, I don't know. I mean, people may differ with what I say, but it is one of the worst thing to happen to construction industry. Apart from its benefits or whatever, I mean, it would have given to modern architecture, but concrete has been the killer. And it is because of concrete that we are suffering today, or where we are today actually. Try avoiding concrete into buildings. And it's very easy to do it.
On the contrary, now people are shifting to alu forms, my-one shutterings. They are making full concrete structures. So because it is done fast, it requires less maintenance.
We'll end up in a debate because then it is cost against the material and its carbon emission.
But personally, I also don't recommend to go for aluform and all these things. Because this concrete, they absorb so much of heat in the daytime that in the night they really radiate heat. It's very difficult, I mean, to control the temperature at night time.
In a city like Nagpur,
yeah,
concrete has the capacity to radiate heat at 40 degrees Celsius for 8 hours. So the night is gone and the sun starts again right at 6 o'clock in the morning. So it's an oven.
So it's very sustainable for heat.
It's very good for Iceland or Greenland or Finland or whatever.
I think what we can understand from this kind of discussion is not that just there are pros and cons, but I think what's very important that the industry and professionals and responsible professionals are thinking. Of course, they are making informed decisions. We know perhaps what the difficulties are in the use of these materials. At least we know that people are thinking and are aware that there are problems. Yes.
Sir, I have a question. Does green building ensure sustainability?
Does?
Subsidiary.
Ensures sustainability?
Which one?
Yeah, basically the green building is called only when it is sustainable.
Then
Only
our
if it is
old
sustainable.
vadas or old structure, those were green buildings or sustainable structures?
No, no,
Vadas won't
sustainable
qualify.
is a different thing.
Old
Sustainable-
Vadas won't qualify to be even, contest for a green building.
Right.
Because one of our buildings was sent for the LEED rating and it was rejected because it had no air conditioning.
But that is the most sustainable building.
I mean, that's the concept of green building ratings, LEED ratings, GRE ratings.
See,
is to be
basically
questioned.
sustainable means making your building more energy efficient. Efficiency of the building has to be increased.
Ultimately, it is coming to who's laying the standards.
The other issue is that
Now, for example, I will just give you an example of Wipro. They have come up with a very big IT park in Bangalore. And what they did it, in the slabs, they have laid down pipelines, PVC pipelines, in which they are running water. So when it's very hot, this water gets heated up. And that water, they are using it to store the energy. So that is the way they are cooling down their buildings. They are making it more energy efficient.
See,
in fact,
actually,
if I may share at the point here, it's in one of the projects we had done, where you reduce the amount of air conditioning you require in a building.
Yeah.
Now, this particular place here. Now, how do you reduce it? By reducing the heat load. And one of the biggest heat loads of the building is the structure. So, with some of the great industry experts in this, the entire building floors, which you were talking about, the entire building floors was filled with a labyrinth of water pipes. Okay? Then these were decompressed. The water is like a pressure cooker. When you increase the pressure, the boiling point increases. When you decrease the pressure of water, the boiling point decreases. It comes down to 14 degrees. The boiling point of water, when I don't know the number of bars that it has been reduced to, but it comes down to 14 degrees. When it comes to 14 degrees, the water touches the floor. And the floor, if the floor is anywhere above 14 degrees, the water will start boiling. With that latent heat, with the latent heat taken away, your floors become cool. Now your floors have to cool at least to 30 degrees. Does anyone know why the floor has to cool to 30 degrees? Take a guess. What's the magic number 30? Because there's another magic number 34. What is the magic number 34? Of the young mummies, what's the magic number 34? Body temperature. So if you can put anything next to you which is less than 34 degrees, you become the radiator and not that item. So if I reduce the temperature of my floor to 30 degrees, my body becomes a radiator pushing energy towards that colder surface. And we don't get any heat back from that. With this, you need to keep the air quantity, no doubt, but your air conditioning refrigeration requirement comes down to just 40% of the required amount. See the amount of energy saving. And all that you have is for, I think what we actually use for about 2,000 square foot, you put a 200 watt little pump that only had to circulate the water, that's all. Huge, huge savings. Anyway, yeah, sorry, I interrupted when you were saying something. Or did?
no, I was just thinking on what Conrad just said. How many of you have visited Taj Mahal during peak summer?
It always remains cool.
Huh?
It always remains cool.
Yeah, so if you see the flooring which is in front of the Taj Mahal, you'll see it's a checkered chessboard pattern with white marble and Dholpur or whatever, And how many times you would have seen people jumping from marble to marble to marble to marble, Because you can't keep your feet on the hot Dholpur. So it's the quality of marble. You don't need those sophisticated, equipments to actually. Anyway, what I was coming to was we have wars in today's world because some superpower runs out of, sale of ammunition or war material or whatever. So we have people fighting and then people supplying arms to them. And then we have our rupee measuring against dollar maybe or euro or whatever. So we're always looking up to the Western world. Same is the situation, someone, Rahul, I think, was asking. Same is the situation with our LEED ratings, with any ratings that we talk of. We look up to the Western world to evaluate our buildings. It's a matter of great concern that we don't have any national pride left in us. We do not, appreciate or feel pride in our traditional buildings, in the wisdom of our ancestors. We actually now look up to others who have come from outside to evaluate our own buildings. And we forget what our own traditional buildings were in the earlier times. If we just follow 1/10 of what they did, I think sustainability quotient will never arise.
Somewhere when you search for sustainability in Wikipedia, it would say that it's a history since that we have been copying from the waste. And then it's all waste. So look at our Mandu fort. Look at the kind of acoustics it has still, and we now use mics and speakers all over, and we are not constructing building of those qualities. Whether they are practical or not is a different issue altogether, but such kind of architecture, like which is, if you stand where I stay in Pune, and close your eyes and open it within the next second, you on Senapati Bapat Road where the JW Marriott has come, you would feel somewhere you are in the Western country. So how would you give that feeling of being in India? Well, that's the topic for our convention theme, which is happening in January in Kolhapur, in design.
Okay, I think we'll conclude with this, and I think we've all been very active with this discussion. I don't need to go through everything, but
I think we've earned our drink or something, right?
You were saying something?
We came to know about the tools to make buildings sustainable. So may we have the tools that we are practicing nowadays, so to support the sustainability to the buildings?
Yeah, okay, I'll just, if I can just, in the conclusion itself, I can say that. Number one is sustainability is a way of life. Yes, thanks to those who started that discussion. Sustainability is a way of life. It is not an imposed set of restrictions or set of conditions that we have to adhere to. It is just a way of life. It is our own mindset. We need to realize that we have to make something sustainable. And it takes everything. It doesn't take rocket science for that. Number two is that we ourselves are creating problems by the way we design as architects and designers, by the way we design. We are creating problems. And then we are running to solutions to solve those problems. In the process, our energy required is much higher. If right at the beginning we're using materials, and not only materials, I think sometimes we narrow ourselves down only to materials. I think there are design processes, there are shapes, the way air moves, the way light gets into a building. It's not only the kind of material, it's the form. It's the form of the material. No? Just imagine if all of us human beings were square blocks, how easily would we move? Terrible. So we create problems not only by the materials, we create by the forms. And using proper forms, proper materials, proper ventilation systems, we can reduce the amount of energy required to sustain a building. And we also need to remember that besides the great cycle of sustainability, we must first and foremost reduce the amount of material that's gone in a building. Then, of course, we can reuse what we can reuse, and lastly, we recycle what cannot be reused. So reduction is the most important. The more you reduce, the less you'll have to the more you reduce, the less you'll have to reuse and recycle. Okay. With that, thanks to the panel, thanks everyone, and thanks to all of you for all your patience, and thanks very much for doing my homework for me. Thank you.
With that, we'd like to say a big thank you to all our eminent panelists here. Thank you so much for your presence, your time, and of course, your wonderful thoughts and experiences that you've shared with us and enlightened us on. So hope, ladies and gentlemen, that your questions, your queries have been well attended and answered, and we all really go a lot more aware and more conscious about architectural sustainability. With that, we take a moment off and felicitate our panelists here on the stage. I would request Mr. Yatnesh Pandey and Mr. Udit Gupta, Chief Manager, Institutional Head, to kindly please join me and present a memento to Mr. Conrad Gonsalves. Thank
Here I just want to make a one point to panel and the audience here. From the Earth Matter, this series, because it has been, during the discussion, it has been come, is it Nerolac is also following. So from the Earth Matter series side, we are trying to follow the truly onto the our action also. Earlier we were doing around 20 to 25 Earth Matters in a year, like around 2 to 3 in a month. We had reduced, now we are moving more towards the digital platform. So there is a webinar, schedules are there is a Facebook, chats are there. So that's the way we are trying to reduce the energy consumption. And all the collaterals, all the materials, we are trying to use as much as possible the recycling materials. So it's not only the, for us, we are trying to make it into the practice also.
And I would request Mr. Udit Gupta to kindly felicitate Mr. Pratap Jadhav. And ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our panelists here for all their time and wisdom. Thank you so much for joining us here. Mr. Virendra Khare, could we have a round of applause? Thank you, sir, once again for joining us here. And Mr. Habib Khan, thank you so much for being here with us and adding your valuable thoughts to this panel discussion. Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, for the vote of thanks, I would invite Mr. Vibhor Srivastav, Publishing Director, ITP Publishing Group. And thank you so much. Thank you all. Request you to kindly take your seats.
Well, what do I say? It's been an incredible marathon evening for us. We really saw great enriching content from some of the eminent panelists and speakers today. But for those who don't know ITP, I just thought I'll give you a quick heads up. We are the largest foreign publishing firm based out of the Middle East. In India, we are fairly young, we're just about 5 years. And within these 5 years, we have created more B2B community, and Conrad was rightly so that he really helped us in the initial, tough moments when we were setting shop in India. But we are proud to say that we got about 10 publications, 5 awards, about 70 odd conferences. We've been able to establish a very neutral and credible platform where the knowledge sharing could happen at the highest level. And sustainability is obviously a very close subject to us. And I'm sure that, we will put together an exhaustive report which talks about us, the series that we just finished, Surat, and we are here with you in Nagpur today. And we'll continue, taking this, learning forward. So I'm going to ensure that each one of you who are present here get to see our magazine, which is Architect and Interiors India, which is the #1 magazine for the country. And we're putting together a huge awards night for the architects. We love this community a lot. And come December, this is the largest awards that we hold. And we will invite you, and my team will get in touch with each and everybody to send your nomination. We choose the best. We've got a very distinguished jury in place. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking time out this evening. I don't want to hold you. Cocktails are waiting, and do join us for the cocktails and dinner. Thank you.